Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
I'm Mike Draper, filling in for Sam Shad. Mark Twain once said, "Whiskey is for drinking and water is for fighting." And we're going to be talking about both with Colby Frey from Frey Ranch Distillery on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
It's the $85,000 football frenzy at Tamarack Casino with up to $15,000 in weekly cash and free play giveaways and $25,000 in grand prize giveaways Thursday, September 29th. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino during the $85,000 football frenzy.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years.
Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
It's the $250,000 Progressive Windfall of Cash at Carson Valley Inn. Weekly Progressives could accumulate up to $35,000 in cash and $20,000 in guaranteed grand prize giveaways. It's the $250,000 Progressive Windfall of Cash at the Carson Valley Inn.
Find solutions. Politicians are part of the problem. Take Catherine Cortez Masto and Adam Laxalt. Cortez Masto co-sponsored a bill capping insulin costs. Adam Laxalt called a plan that caps costs reckless. No surprise, Laxalt is personally invested in big drug companies. When they make money, he makes money. That's the difference. Catherine Cortez Masto is lowering the cost of drugs. Adam Laxalt sells out and cashes in. SMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
I'm Mike Draper, filling in for Sam Shad today on Nevada Newsmakers. We've got a very special guest, Colby Frey, whiskey farmer and the co-founder of Frey Ranch Distillery in Fallon, Nevada. Colby, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Mike.
Thanks for joining us today. Colby is a longtime friend and a client that I'm very privileged to have on the show. Colby, Frey Ranch, you're one of the pioneers of Nevada's distilling and craft spirits laws. You started, more than a decade ago with an experimental distiller's license. What's it been like to watch the state grow around craft spirits and distilling?
No, it's really been a roller coaster. We actually got our license to legally start distilling in 2006. But there were no state laws in Nevada until 2013. And so we had what's called an experimental license, which meant we could make it, age it, experiment with it. We just couldn't let anybody taste it and we couldn't sell it. And so in 2013, we were finally able to get the laws passed. And to be honest, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because it made us slow down and really hone our craft. So from 2006 till 2013, we played around with different grain varieties in the field, different irrigation techniques, different fertilizer management, all the stuff on the farming side. And then we also took that to the distillery and we played around with different yeast varieties, different mash bills, different distillation techniques, all that stuff. So by the time we were finally able to get the laws passed in 2013, we knew exactly what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. So it was really interesting, the whole legislative process, and with your help and a lot of I'm very appreciative of a lot of the senators and assemblymen and women that helped us get to where we are today.
And tell, for those that don't know, although most people in Nevada know about Frey Ranch Distillery, for those that don't know, tell us a little bit about exactly where you are today and what the distillery is doing.
Yeah, so we're located in Fallon, Nevada. For those that don't know Fallon, Fallon's considered the oasis of Nevada. We get water from the Truckee and the Carson rivers, and And we grow all of our ingredients right here on the farm that go into all of our whiskeys. So the wheat, rye, barley, and corn that's in all of our whiskeys is grown right here by us. My family's been farming in Nevada since 1854, since 10 years before it was even considered a state. And we've carried on that tradition on how to grow crops in our specific soil, in our climate, with our irrigation techniques, everything. We know how to grow those grains, and that really helps us to create a better product, because with anything with better inputs, you end up with better outputs. And so by growing our own grains and ensuring that we get the best quality, that's our best chance of getting the best final product.
Now, you're on the forefront of the craft distilling industry in the state, but certainly we've seen many craft distilleries and breweries pop up over the last decade, many of them highly recognized and highly awarded, as Frey Ranch is. Where do you see, what's it like to see that industry build up, and where do you see the industry going in the future?
I think there's only, up is the only way we can all go. I think we all need to support each other, and we do. We're really great at that. It's very similar to like Napa Valley. Napa Valley became very successful as a whole because they all supported each other and did a good job of recognizing that they can do high quality wines in their area. And it's the same way. We want to help any other distillery in Nevada create the best products they can, because it does nothing but help us. A rising ship rises, or rising tide raises all ships. So that's really our goal in our community, is to help everybody.
So we've talked a lot about economic diversification in our state over the last many years, and certainly targeted many industries. I'm curious, do you see your industry as an industry that can play a role in diversifying our economy as we move forward?
I think so. And especially like in our scenario here on the ranch, is we're taking our products. So we're taking agriculture products that are grown right here in Nevada. And a lot of other distilleries use local grains also, but we're producing something out of those products. And so when you take something, if you think about the economy, we're taking something from nothing. We're taking a seed, we're creating a plant where we can harvest the grain and create something out of it. That really brings in that fresh money, or keeps the money in our area, versus sending it outside the area and not bringing in fresh money. Is
that makes a lot of sense, and creates jobs and things like that as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, nothing against the tire shop, for example. They send money outside our community to get tires in. They sell it inside of our community. But we're taking something from nothing. And that's why I think mining and agriculture is so important for our economies, because we're bringing in fresh money from outside the area to distribute, to hire local people to spend in our local stores and really help our local economy.
So Frey Ranch is one of the few distilleries in the world that's on a working farm, uses all its own grains. You proudly call yourself a whiskey farmer, which is just a great term. But obviously, since it is a working farm, and it's well documented that inflation has had a pretty significant effect on agriculture and farming, how is inflation affecting you, and how are you adjusting to it?
It's amazing the cost of different commodities and raw ingredients now. Like, for example, last year we could buy one of our fertilizers for about $420 a ton. This year it was over $1,150 a ton. It almost tripled in price. It's like that with a lot of things, obviously fuel and a lot of other products. We're fortunate because the commodity prices followed. So our alfalfa and other crops that we sell, we grow all of our own wheat, rye, barley, and corn for the distillery. So it really doesn't affect that, other than we're spending a lot more money on the inputs. But the other crops that we grow, the commodity prices have followed, so that we're really fortunate that it could have gone the other way, and it could have been like drastic. It could have been detrimental to our business. Well,
we've got much more to talk about when we come back, so stay tuned, and we will be back on Nevada Newsmakers.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com. I'm here at the Carson Valley Inn in Minden with Joey Whitaker. Entertainment here at the Carson Valley Inn is extraordinary.
Yeah, super proud of the TJ's Corral, our outdoor venue, about 1,500 seats. We've had first-class entertainment out there. We've had Merle Haggard, we've had Chris Young, we've had Lee Brice a couple times, we've had Pat Benatar, Joan Jett, who's in the Hall of Fame. We're real proud out there, and it's just a great time. Watch CarsonValleyInn.com and grab those tickets early. It's not a long way to get away to the Carson Valley Inn.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And we're back on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Mike Draper, your guest host today, filling in for Sam Shad, and I'm here with Colby Frey, the CEO and co-founder of Frey Ranch Distillery in Fallon, Nevada. Colby, the pandemic obviously had a well-documented effect on all kinds of industries and businesses, but it had a unique effect on the spirits industry. Both created opportunities and challenges. How did Frey Ranch deal with the pandemic, and what is kind of some of the lessons that you've applied now as you go forward?
Yeah, one of the things with our distillery is when we make whiskey, our whiskey is about 5 years old, an average of 5 years old when we bottle it. So we're selling today what we made 5 years ago. So we actually released our first whiskeys in December of 2019. And it's funny because our distributor said, "Oh, that's the worst time to launch a product. It's a death wish. It's a horrible time." We launched, it was actually like December 5th. And when we did, it was tremendous of the support that we got from here in Northern Nevada. It was only a launch in Northern Nevada. And it was one of the most successful launches that they said they've ever had, even though it was in the worst month it could have possibly been in. So then our goal was in February of 2020 to launch in Las Vegas. And our one of the other problems with our whiskey in general is, like I said, you're limited to sell today what you made 5 years ago. So you can only sell what you made 5 years ago. So you have a limited quantity. You can't just make more. You can't just turn on or off the spigot like you could with vodka, gin, other spirits. And so we launched in February of 2020 in Las Vegas, and our focus was on premise. So there's, in the alcohol industry, there's two different philosophies. There's on premise and there's off premise. Off premise is like a grocery store or a liquor store where you consume it off premise. On premise is like a restaurant or a bar where you consume the product on premise. And so our goal was to focus on premise bars and restaurants because we only had so much whiskey we could sell, and we wanted it to get in as many people's mouths and minds as possible. And so we thought that what better way to do that than to focus on premise. And so in Las Vegas, we got in 360 bars and restaurants in the month of February of 2020. And then March 2020 hit and every one of them got shut down. It was like the most wildest roller coaster I ever been on. We went from selling several hundred, almost like 700-800 cases a month to like 2, because we were focusing on premise and they all got shut down and we weren't really focusing on off premise. So we reevaluated, we focused on off premise, and by the end of 2020, we still met our sales goals, but it was completely different than what our original plan was. And so it's amazing how the off-premise really stepped up. They were all amazing. I think everybody was at home mixing their own cocktails and making them heavy because the off-premise sales were just amazing for that year. And since then, we've really started to refocus on premise because thankfully they're all open again. And we're really fortunate to be in several amazing on-premise places now, but COVID was really like I hate the word pivot. It's so annoying. But we really had to pivot, refocus and strategize. And in the end, we still met our sales goals and came out just fine.
I think it's fascinating to hear how many industries, obviously there's significant challenges and significant impacts, but to find the opportunity in it, I know in some states it's estimated that spirit sales in the early months of the pandemic went up 20 to 40%, and that hasn't really declined, but certainly there were a lot of different lessons that were learned from that and how to operate more efficiently and more quickly. And I know that you all have dealt with your share of challenges from the get-go. I think a fascinating challenge as we're talking about shortages and material shortages is the ongoing challenge of finding the barrels to distill and age the whiskey. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Right now, we're still in the middle of kind of a barrel shortage. We're really lucky because we have a great relationship with our cooperage. Cooperage is the company that makes the barrels, and so they're getting us barrels. They're a couple weeks late, but they're not terrible. It's not the end of the world. Glass has been a little bit of a challenge, but we're really fortunate. We work with a company out of Mexico, and at first we weren't even getting scheduled, and I kind of became friends with the owner of the company. It's a large company. The owner came out, and he was a really neat person who I showed the ranch, and I showed all the projects that I was working on and the fun projects that I was building and everything. And I think it resonated with him. And so I called him and said, if I don't get bottles, I'm basically out of business. How am I I don't have a product to sell if I don't have bottles. They're custom bottles. It's not like I can just go to a different company and snap my fingers and have them made right away. And so I think that really resonated with him, that how important it was to us. And we got bottles within a few weeks, which is unheard of in the glass manufacturing. But with the increase in sales, it's also the increase in glass needs for other companies also. And so I forget the exact number, but it's like $10 to $12 million or 10 to 12 million bottles more. They're oversold, the glass company, than they could produce in a year. And so they're making a whole new furnace and really trying to ramp up to get supply and demand back in balance. So, and then you got shipping. It's just amazing. Like, we had trucks that were just abandoned in Texas. We'd get a call and say, yeah, that shipment that was supposed to be there today is still sitting in Texas. The guy abandoned the truck on the side of the road. We got calls saying that one of the trucks was saying that they're in Maryland, and we're not even close to Maryland. And it's just kind of wild how just the logistical part of it has been so messed up and I really think it's because of COVID, the supply chain and shipping and everything is just absolutely out of control right now.
Well, Colby, I appreciate that. When we come back, we're going to talk about water issues, so sit tight, and we'll be back on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrizi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
Hi, I'm Renee Summerhour, digital news anchor here at 7 at 7. Watch our streaming nonstop newscast immediately with your mobile phone. 7 at 7 is the new way for you to get every bit of local news you need in just 7 minutes. Breaking news, local neighborhood news, weather, and sports are just a click away. Reporters bring you all of what's happening in the Valley. From Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, YouTube, and more. Get every bit of local news you need from the RJ and LVRJ.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And we're back on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. I'm Mike Draper, filling in for Sam Shad. We're here with Colby Frey, the co-founder of Frey Ranch Distillery in Fallon, Nevada. And Colby, you have a very unique perspective, given that you're a distillery, you're a farm, you're in rural Nevada. Obviously, Nevada is one of the driest states in the country, and we're in the middle of a growing water crisis. The EPA expects that our water demands could increase by as much as 80 or 85% in the next 40 years. How do we balance the need for growth and economic development with the very real concerns presented by our water demands?
That's a great question, and I don't know if there's any answer because with greater demand, it's all upstream from us. We're kind of unfortunate. We're at the bottom of the river. There's the Carson Sink, which is where the Carson River just basically ends and sinks into the ground, which is right over here by the ranch. And so all this development is all in Reno and Carson and Garnerville, and it's all upstream from us. And so we're kind of at the mercy of our water master, the water board, and everybody else to make sure that we get our water that we own. We own the rights to our water. And we've bought that over time and or it comes with the property when we buy it. So we have the rights to certain amounts of water, but if it doesn't come down to us, then we don't have it. And so it's a really tough question to answer for me because I'm kind of at the mercy of everybody else.
Well, but correct me if I'm wrong, and I think this is a really fascinating story or fact about Frey Ranch. One of the reasons you really got into distilling and growing those types of grains that you need for whiskey or for other spirits is because it used less water than some of the other crops that were grown. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, and so traditionally, like our main cash crop is alfalfa, and traditionally you were lucky. You have to rotate your crops. So usually alfalfa lasts about 5 years. Then traditionally we'd plant wheat, rye, barley, or corn. Out of those 4 crops, corn uses more water than the other 3, but it also yields a lot more per acre. So it's kind of a benefit that it yields more. It takes more water too. But wheat, rye, and barley only take about 3 irrigations in comparison to alfalfa, which takes about 7. And so you are conserving a lot of water by planting wheat, rye, barley, or corn, or wheat, rye, or barley, I guess. But it comes with a cost because traditionally on the open market, those crops are not very valuable. Traditionally you're lucky if you break even with your land payments, your O&M fees, your taxes, your labor, your diesel, everything to harvest that grain. So traditionally alfalfa has been the cash crop, and then wheat, rye, or barley, or corn have just been a rotational crop because you can't just grow alfalfa year after year after year. Alfalfa actually has what's called a fox toxin that it creates itself. And it's amazing how Mother Nature works. What it does is alfalfa, Mother Nature creates a plant, right? That plant creates a seed. That seed falls down to the ground. Well, alfalfa creates this natural poison in the ground to keep that seed from germinating and competing with that mother plant. So that's why you have to rotate. You can't just take alfalfa out and plant alfalfa again. It's that natural way of Mother Nature protecting itself. So you have to plant another crop. So traditionally we would plant alfalfa and then wheat, rye, barley, or corn. We're lucky if we break even on it, maybe make a little bit of money every once in a while when the prices are up, but then we go back to alfalfa, which is what we make our money on. But with the distillery, what's nice is I can actually create something out of the crops that we're growing, the wheat, rye, barley, and corn that traditionally aren't very valuable as a farm. And we create something out of those that's value added, that vertically integrated. And it's the best of both worlds because we still grow a lot of alfalfa here. And the alfalfa is amazing because we're in the high desert. We get really hot days, cool nights. It brings the TDN, which is considered the total digestible nutrients in the alfalfa, and it's sought after around the world. So our alfalfa goes to China, Dubai, Japan, Taiwan, all over the world. And we're bringing in that, just like I said earlier, that fresh money that we can distribute amongst our community here.
So Colby, we've got about a minute left, and I'd love to ask you many, many more questions. So I'm already booking you on the next time I host Nevada Newsmakers. But I think you've got a lot of neat stories, but certainly some really, really special and neat Nevada ties. If I'm not mistaken, your family had the first deeded ranch in Nevada. Is that correct?
There's 8 people that were granted property at the same time, the first 8, and my family, I'm a 5th generation, so great-great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, whatever that is, had the first deeded property in Nevada. I'm only a 5th generation, which should be a lot more, but my whole family has had kids when they're very late in life and very old. So I guess it could be 7 or 8, I think, in a lot of, in a normal family dynamic, but.
Well, I know you've got many, many other Nevada ties that we'll have to explore and talk about next time. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. You and I have been friends for a long time. I think the story is fascinating. Obviously, I've drank my share of Frey Ranch, and we're looking forward to seeing what you guys do in the future. So good luck, and thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you, Mike. You're amazing.
Thanks for having us on Nevada Newsmakers. We'll be back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
It's the $85,000 football frenzy at Tamarack Casino with up to $15,000 in weekly cash and free play giveaways and $25,000 in grand prize giveaways Thursday, September 29th. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino during the $85,000 football frenzy.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators. From the exotic to the everyday. Trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Thanks for watching today's Nevada Newsmakers. Make sure to go to our website, nevadanewsmakers.com, and check out our archives all the way back to 2005. We'll see you tomorrow.